my screen.
It says screen sharing, but we're not seeing. There it is. There it is.
Okay. So last time. Okay. So last time we discussed a goal, and here it is written in a bit more formal language. When we think about the roundtables of having folks respond to us to this sort of stated goal here, which is RTD's ZEV ad hoc committee is evaluating proposing to the RTD board of directors that RTD halves its GHG emissions by bracketed 2028, which I know we've gotten a lot of concerns on, and achieves net zero emission by 2038, which I have gotten very few concerns on, for its fleet as measured by scope 1 and scope 2 emissions. And separately, we've sort of mentioned that the board would reevaluate this upon receipt of no less an asset transition plan and no less than annually. Measure. So this is sort of based on the feedback I've gotten. The 2028 number seems aggressive, and that was done by intent. I think having by 2028 is not going to be as realistic.
I agree.
We did 30 and versus 30 and 38. And I think 30 is sort of that outside date for the, what's it called? The 1.5 degrees climate race to zero stuff. I don't know, Julian, if you have thoughts there.
Yeah. I forgot if on our last meeting, if we did discuss that 2028 or not. I know we had the 2038 and the whole idea was us to be a leader in it. Do we feel it's necessary to have it as a half as for 2028? I think just having it as the final goal, but I'm more than open to hear other opinions on that. I might have just missed where we came up with the idea of come 2028, we would have half GHG emissions. I thought we came to an understanding that would be 2038 as the goal because we wanted to be 2 years ahead of 2040, which is kind of, for lack of a better term, the standard with it. I just don't know if it's necessary or not. That would just be my feedback compared to the ultimate goal of 2038.
So the academic and scientific community has said we need to have emissions by 2030 and get to net zero by 2050. And so we chose 28 to sort of try to be ahead of the curve, and chose 38 just based on, a number of other agencies, not necessarily governed in the way we are because we're special. But, their cities and others have set 2040, 2035, 2045 goals. And so that we went with 38 because it was sort of a little bit earlier than 40. Yeah, Lynn.
I have concerns about the 28. I don't think it's even possible given the scheduling for buying buses and all of that. So, I guess I have two thoughts. One is to go with the just the overall later number. Even 2038 is aggressive, but I know that's what it's intended to be, or to move the half number significantly back. So, it doesn't have to be 10 years before. It may be, since it's really just a straw man here, to get feedback on, but it's probably a pretty good one. I think it may just make most sense to go with the net zero emissions by 2038 or 2040.
And then for clarity, just take out the halving time.
Yeah. We can always add something back in later, but I'm worried that sort of made us look like we were not being realistic, you know?
Julian?
Sorry, that was kind of my whole point, is I don't know if it's necessary language or not, especially with 2028 being less than 6 years away. That's just where I think, I don't know if it's necessary or not, and just kind of keep with the original scope of 2038 for the benefit of our staff.
So just leaving it, I'm fine with that. I still don't quite understand the science between needing to have by 30 and get to net zero by 50. So I'm also okay taking it out, because if I get asked, all I'll be able to say is that's what the scientific community says, and I'm not going to have a whole lot of backup beyond that.
Right.
So
So we just take it out?
yeah, so I took my screen still shared. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
It's still in that one sentence before the bullets there.
Oh yeah, because this is from last time.
Oh, okay. Got it. All right.
I'm just checking out the final language. That's the,
Here's
yeah, that's where he edited it.
where I edited it, highlight, and I added that second sentence just based on the feedback of, hey, we should probably come back to this with some regularity.
That
I'm
looks good.
Oh, sorry, go for it.
Yeah, no, it looks good.
Yeah, I think it looks really good. I think, again, it's very clear, very precise. Well, precise enough.
Yeah.
You-
How do we feel about the questions we have that we were planning to ask folks from a facilitation standpoint?
Can I ask a question first? Who is
Yeah.
coming? Who's going to be?
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to next, but we can go there right now. I know,
That will
Jillian.
help me with the questions.
Yeah, Jillian, who do we have right now who both confirmed as well as invited?
Okay, so I have confirmed Marie.
Would
Or
you
Maria.
say where they're from?
Yeah, hold on. I can't remember. Oh, you're right. You're gonna ask lots of questions, huh?
Mhm.
Okay, hang on. Give me a sec.
No
No
problem.
worries.
I was like, I wasn't ready for that, but I can be. Hold on. All right, so Maria Eisman. She's with the state of Colorado, and I believe CDOT specifically, but I can get you her full title later.
Either that or energy office, maybe.
Yeah, she's somewhere in there. Chris Southwick, who is the town of Vale. Bill Patterson. Oh, oops, I got him back for a minute. Oh yeah, Bill Patterson is Via Mobility. I have not heard back from Matt Fromer. I think that's all I had.
I have a call into Matt. I called him yesterday about something else, so I'll talk with him.
Perfect. And then Jillian, I think I forwarded you last night 2 NREL folks to reach out to as well.
Yep, and I haven't gotten them yet, so. in
No
process.
worries. And then the other folks, Chuck Ray, who I'll send you his email, Jillian.
Okay,
He used to be with RMI. Lynn, I think you might have met him at a bicycle related advocacy event.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He used to be with RMI, and he helped lead NJ Transit through their transition plan and forming their transition plan.
Great.
He's no longer with RMI, but I think frankly, his knowledge and experience
Sure.
is still there.
Good. Are we doing two different, are we, is this looking at a second one now with the in-rail folks and Chuck Ray? Are we doing one or what are we doing?
We're doing one just because it became too much of a nightmare to schedule two.
Okay. And is it November 8th? When is the?
November 3rd, or no, November 8th at 3, November 3rd at 8.
November 8th at 3.
November 8th at 3.
Election day. Okay,
It'll distract you for a few hours while votes are still being counted.
right. Okay, so Matt would be a good one. 1, 2, 3, 4. If we get in real folks, 5, 6, 7. That's not too many, probably. It's pretty big, but we'll see what we get. Yeah, I'll try to nail Matt since he's chair of the Clean Transit Enterprise. We'd have some good questions for him, I think.
Yeah, Julian.
Might be going forward a little bit. Logistics regarding asking questions. Is this just open to all of our guests? We ask the question, then whatever guest wants to answer, or is this more of some folks we have more of the targeted questions towards? Would be my question of discussion.
I would suggest that we prep them and know what their particular, addition would be. And then kind of could decide from there if we want to do some individual or, overall group, or what do y'all think?
Yeah, Julian.
Well, so based on the questions, and Bobby, if you wouldn't mind just sharing that screen one more time, just with the list of questions that we have. I was just curious if, is this the list of questions that we're planning on asking every single guest that's attending or every party that we're attending? Or, are there specific folks that we want to ask specific question to, or do we just propose the question to the group and then whichever party is interested in asking asks? I'm more looking at the logistics and kind of the trees part of it, but.
Yeah, I think my thought was that I added this first question. What are you doing or have you done in electrification and transition to net zero? Just so they all know who each other are. And I think it sort of is a shorter way of, instead of everyone sitting and presenting for 10 minutes about what they do, sort of gets it done quickly. Because I think, the intent here is to get that feedback on the policy level and provide staff the resources that they may need to reach out to folks one-on-one. My thought was we would just take turns asking questions and follow-ups, and hopefully people will organically talk to each other.
Well,
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Lynn.
I'd be happy to, make some calls to prep people. I always find that you get a better.
I was going to say, Jillian, if you wouldn't mind after this call, emailing out this final language for the goal, as well as the questions that folks will be asked. And that way people can be prepped. And then just send them a reminder email on the 1st and the 7th of November.
Yep. Okay. Do we want to form a tentative agenda and have a list of who everybody's going to be invited to with titles? I think that'd be also helpful, so they know who else is attending.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, why don't I'll prep it and send it to you for review. And then I'll send it out as a whole thing.
We got to get more people though, huh? Did you say Chuck Ray is a yes, or have you talked to him, Billy? Bobby?
It all works. My middle name's William, so.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Not yet. I've spoken with him, but I just forwarded Jillian his email. 3 of them. Yeah, I think with Matt and Rel, if we could get Chuck, that'd be great. Who else? I think if we can get someone from another agency. Stop sharing my screen while I quickly look through my email. Not that there's anything secret in there, more that I just think you guys aren't interested in.
Getting somebody from a bigger agency, we've got Vail and Via, but their worlds are, it'll be useful, but different.
Yeah, I think Deborah sent me a list of people from WMATA, and they would be great, especially because they're bigger and also operate in what's it called?
DC?
Yeah, cold weather, inclement weather. And they have to deal with cross-jurisdictional issues. So do this one differently. Is there a chat? No. No chat. Okay.
What are you trying to do?
I was just going to send you the WMATA contact information. So we have 3 different contacts there. And maybe it makes sense just to email the group of them, Jillian. Just say, hey, we're working on Zero Emission. Deborah Johnson, she has contact information with the board members. We're hosting a roundtable, looking at RTD's policy. We'd love to have your expertise. Is someone on your team able to join us?
Okay.
Because we also got someone from New York, although they operate a much heavier rail than we do. I guess DC does too.
Has WMATA made a significant transition?
Yeah, WMATA's zero emission policy is. They are transitioning to a zero emission bus fleet by 2045.
2045, okay.
So I think it'll be helpful, just so you guys can see how they sort of hold themselves accountable. I think it'll be good to get their feedback, right? If they're going to say, hey, look, we're not doing this, 2038 isn't achievable, and here's why, right? I think it'd be great. Well, I would love for them to say, yes, you can absolutely do that. It'll be great to have that voice at the table. So what they've committed to is 100% zero emission fleet by 2045, stopping the purchase of all new buses entering service by 2030 will be electric or a different zero emission technology. So they'll be 2/3 of all buses by 2038, an entire fleet of 1,500 buses by 2045.
Good.
And it looks like in 2023, they're only purchasing low-no vehicles.
Okay. Cool.
Looks like they have 10 standard, 2 articulated. That'll be great.
I'll
They're
take that.
building an
That's
all-electric
the
bus.
website.
So
Great. Well, I guess we need to try to get more people, and when we see how many we have, we can kind of make final decisions on, does everybody answer all the questions, or do we, trim them down for some, but it looks like a good start on the questions.
do we want to use New York City's contact as well for MTA. They're in 2040.
Interesting. Ah, Yeah.
I think oh, sorry to interrupt, Lynn. I was just gonna say, in my opinion, these are the best comparables. And I'm not saying that the list that we have already isn't, and I would love to hear the opinion, and especially going back to the list of questions. Question number 2, is this plausible? That should, I feel, a question that should be asked to every guest that appears, and I think these transit agencies, that is your comparable ultimately to, if we're seeing 2040, if we're seeing 2045, why are you guys setting that as the big date? How have you guys made it plausible? Ultimately, we're ambitious saying 2038 as our goal. Well, are we, and then from there ask the question, are we being too ambitious? And that's what I really want to hear, is from multiple folks saying, is this possible or not? And going back to, I like it more of, open-ended questions, or more of a situation where questions just kind of, it becomes a conversation. But for some questions, such as, is this possible? I think that should be asked to all parties who are invited.
Yeah, I agree. And one other question that I think might be helpful is, I was looking at the layout for MTA there. Yeah, what are the steps we need to be looking at now and in the next few years along the way? What do you think, in terms of percentages or, plans or whatever?
Yeah, and it would be great to have something like this, MTA zero emission transition plan.
Yeah.
We go through, this is why we're doing it. And they're acting in alignment with state legislation. So that's sort of how they're also getting to it when we think about funding. And alignment is, wow, MTA carries 16% of the nation's bus passengers and operates 10% of all public transit buses. That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
We do great work. That's crazy. It also makes sense. New York's big. So they did 10 bus pilot, 15 articulated, 60 standard, new flyer buses. Lessons learned.
Yeah, it's good. If we get, we may kind of need to see who we get before we decide on the questions and whether everybody, for instance, if we get Matt Fromer, he could talk to us about funding available and when it's going to start. We haven't seen the grant applications. I was just talking with Michael Davies about it, or however they're doing it but since he chairs the Clean Transit Enterprise, they got a lot of money.
Yeah.
And, be
I
good.
think they may be excited by that, by an aggressive plan.
Yeah.
Is that too much or too ambitious to reach out to 2 other agencies prior to our date?
Just depends on whether we get any of these others, we've only got so far.
Yeah, I would say, I don't think it's too ambitious to reach out to them. I don't think an extra person at a meeting is
Yeah, that's fine.
adds or takes away. I think from a community value standpoint, Lynn, I know you probably have a better pulse on this than I, but are there people? Are there going to be people who are? How do I say this? Are there going to be people who are upset that they weren't invited? Do we sort of, as a community value or public relations standpoint, need to make sure that that Commuting Solutions and Transportation Solutions Foundation and our TMAs and our co-PERGs and advocacy groups, do we need to make sure that they're at least, of course, it'd be great to have more people attending, but I'm just trying to avoid an issue where it's supposed to be a positive thing. I know there's a term for that. I just can't remember what it is.
Yeah. Well, it's just our committee meeting. So, I wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I-
Murray Eisenman is from the Colorado Energy Office, so we've, got that. And if we get Matt, he's from the Clean Transit Enterprise. So I'll think about that, but I think, we're asking the right people.
I
I
do
think
too.
if you make it livable, Bobby, where there is opportunities for future participations from other parties that weren't necessarily at the November 8th meeting,
Yeah.
then, that's where you would avoid that criticism. I understand where it's coming from, and a lot of people are passionate about this, and the more we hear from people, the better.
Speaking of that, how are we doing on the website?
Who's
It's
doing-
live.
Oh,
Yeah, it's there. It's on if you go to our homepage of directors, it's on the side with all the other ad hoc.
oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank
Mhm. So if there's something you want changed, let me know. But our person's out of town right now on honeymoon, but we'll get to it.
Well, then that makes it a lot easier. We can just say, and I might just push it out on my own social. Hey, put this on your calendar.
I'm just getting towards it now. Thank you for sharing that with us, Julian. I'm looking at it right now.
If we could add, the roundtable's there. Perfect. Is there can we set up a register link for folks? And change. So right now it says roundtable 1. I think just calling it policy roundtable. Add the time and add a registration link.
Yep, we'll do.
Awesome. And would you mind just letting us know once that's done so we can push it out?
Yes.
Yeah,
I'll
that's-
see if Danny can help me with that today.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's great, Jillian, thanks.
Well, you know what else? If I only can make one change, let's try to get the agenda and like maybe semi-proposed stuff up if you want to.
Oh,
Well,
yeah, then that's up for folks too.
Yeah, I think that might be helpful also, so people know what it is.
Yeah, and we can leave put the people on there so far and then,
Yeah.
put a, hey, if you're interested in learning more, reach out
Yep.
to.
Okay,
So we may just need to, Jillian will follow up on these folks that we're giving her, but we may need to like make a phone call afterwards or something if people aren't responding. So just something to keep in mind. We'll stay in touch with you, Jillian.
Yeah, Jillian, would you mind maybe Friday afternoon just sending us a update of, hey, here's where we are with people, and then
Sure.
if we need to, we can make calls.
no problem.
Great.
All right. Anything else?
Are we in other matters?
Yeah, other matters.
The idea that came up last night that came out of your proposed amendment was basically that Deborah was saying that, we need to be looking at all of this as a sustainability plan that fits together. I think it'd be nice to get that moved forward. I don't know if that's our committee or,
Yeah, I certainly am open to putting in the recommended action, saying, this will be done in connection with RTD's sustainability plan, which will be presented to the board no later than.
Yeah. I liked your idea. I mean, there's a lot out there that we don't have to, like you were just showing us the MTA, we wouldn't have to start from scratch.
Right.
So,
We are not we are not the only people with a sustainability plan.
Right.
We might be one of the few people without one. So I think adding, just add that to my notes. When we eventually propose the recommended action to the board, Lynn, I like the idea. Julian, I'm curious of your thoughts of including just saying, hey, you're also going to come back with a full sustainability plan. And Julian, just for some, you're not on the finance committee, right? Okay, just wanted to it's been a day, so just wanted to make sure. So last night we proposed adding the social cost of carbon into different budget policies. It ultimately did not pass through, but I think what came of the conversation was, the need to do a holistic plan, which I think this provides the framework for. And instead of just asking for a transition plan, asking for a full sustainability plan in which the transition plan, the asset transition plan, is really just one component of the scope.
So, I'm just trying to think it through in terms of a recommended action. If we're not looking at it in November, we're not meeting in December, puts us into January. I mean, maybe we can just do this more casually with Deborah, and she said she'd check with her staff.
Yeah. Well, because this we're bringing in November, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Great.
Yeah, Julian.
I didn't get a chance to check the meeting. What was the pushback to the amendment?
I think it was one, it's sort of ambiguous and folks weren't really fully comfortable or confident in having a full handle on what social cost of carbon was, how it gets measured, how our staff would be able to do it. And I think two was the idea that it should be a part of a more comprehensive plan as opposed to piecemealed out.
Especially when Deborah volunteered that, I think we all felt like, yeah, let's do it. So. with that.
And sorry not to get too lost, but
I'll be right back.
isn't the idea, Bobby, kind of what we're proposing right now would be said plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, this would be there's other components, right, beyond electrification, right? There's other stuff that goes in there, but yes, it would not be we wouldn't really be expanding the scope of our ask very much.
Okay.
Yes.
I get you. Thank you.
I know Lynn said she would be right back. Kate said she might be coming. Anything else?
No, I'm just actually sorry not to circle back to anything. I'm just checking it out with our website too, and the other agency plans that were listed. I don't know if you got a chance to check it out, Bobby.
Yeah.
Again, other comparables, I think, going forward with.
Yeah, I prepped these and sent to get put up. So yes, I've seen all of these. I haven't read them all.
Sure. But and sorry, Jillian, was that you guys as staff who put this down, or was that you, Bobby, who listed these skills?
Both and I sent sort of they basically took this document which you all had seen and put it on the website.
Okay, love it.
In a much better, nicer boat.
Very I love the green trees. I love the Oh, Jillian, could I have my name corrected under committee members, by the way?
Yes.
All good. Everyone gets mixed up with the AN instead of the EN. Appreciate it. Cool.
It was right. It was the first name that was wrong.
It was the first name, yeah. Excellent. And we have one more though prior to November, and that's the 26th. Am I looking at that correctly?
Yes. Do we want to meet? I guess it's sort of a final prep.
Yeah.
No.
I would, if you guys are okay with it. I'd prefer a meeting.
Yeah, that works for me.
just to make sure we have all logistics already and
I will be at a conference, so I will probably not have my same screen share abilities, but
all good. And then we are proposing this for the entire board meeting, or is this going through a committee first? I'm sorry, in November. Is that what you're saying?
we should be able to put it on the full board unless we have to.
It doesn't have to go through committee, or
This is a
I guess the ad hoc committee.
Well, Dr. Deschelle, this is an ad hoc committee, so it would need to run through a standing committee.
Okay.
You do have executive committee as an option before the board meeting, but just keep in mind our November schedule is pretty tight. Our standing committees are the first week, and then I believe the next week is executive committee. So we can do executive committee, but just please keep in mind the timeline.
Got it. Lynn, you're on mute unless you're not talking to us.
Sorry, so, Shrey, that would be the second Thursday, is that what we'd be looking at? The 10th, is that the executive committee?
I believe so. Let me double check the calendar 1 moment.
Okay,
So that would be 2 days after the meeting we just had.
yeah, it won't give us a lot of time to,
Tweak, although there's not that much. There's really only
Sure.
there's one date. There's one date to tweak, right? It's at a certain point. So I guess working backwards, Lynn, if there's a way we can bring it through exec committee on the 10th,
yeah,
and then we'd be full board on the 15th. I think I don't mind previewing it for folks at the end of this month, just to remind folks when we give our sort of update.
okay. So the proposal, then the recommended action would, are you thinking it would set the end date, 2038, 2040, something like that, and ask staff to provide us to put together a sustainability plan? And are we asking for that by a certain date, or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
June 1st, 23. That fair? 6 months.
I
Yeah,
would check with them.
the other way to do it is to talk to Deborah and say, we'd like to have this done, have something to bring to the executive committee. How is June 1st, or we could ask for earlier and see what she says. What do you think?
Yeah.
And have we got this November 8th on staff's calendar too now? Okay, good.
Yes.
Yes, they've all been confirmed. So that's what we got that date.
Good. All right.
And I guess importantly, okay, good. We do have a meeting scheduled for the 9th of November for this group.
Oh, we do?
I do on my calendar, but that doesn't mean it's in the big calendar because I just set a recurring.
The 8th and the 9th?
Well, the 8th is the round table.
Okay. And just do it, we could do that.
We could do a debrief on the 9th. And then the 10th then would be brought to executive committee.
It's busy.
So this is Shrey. I would just like to add in your recommended action, which could have some blanks in it, needs to be submitted the week before to be included in the executive committee packet.
Okay.
Okay.
So we can maybe do kind of like what Committee Chair Davidson did last night with their item. They're going to have probably some changes and amendments. We could get the bulk of that item built and in the packet, and maybe just have some blank spots so the executive committee could have discussion on it, and then the board meeting could discuss it further, and then those numbers, whatever they may be, could be finalized at the board meeting.
Good.
So we'd leave the 38 date probably blank. And then the rest of the language you could submit prior.
That's what I would recommend, just so that you can get the board report submitted and then executive committee and the full board can talk about it and determine what that final date may be.
Okay,
Okay.
All right, just to make sure.
And I don't know if if it's gonna then go to conversation to executive committee, I don't know if we even need a meeting on the 9th.
The only thought was the only thought on the meeting the only thought for the meeting on the 9th was to be able to give exec committee an actual date to react to. Right, would be to
Okay.
say, you know, we took what we learned on the 8th, based on our conversation on the 9th, we think this should be the date. And exec committee is the 10th at noon, 11, 3, 1.
the executive.
At 12.
12.
12.
Yeah, I mean, we could do a meeting or we could just see what, you know, we could talk for a few minutes after the round table or just figure
Yeah.
we have the conversation with the executive committee the next day.
I would prefer, yeah. I don't know if we need to add an extra meeting just for, you know, staff's sake and everything. I think we can talk right after the round table and
I think that's.
then say, hey, come on the 10th. And then I would try my best to try to be there on the 10th for the executive committee.
We should be able to give you kind of an estimate time on, you know, where it is on the agenda.
I will as well. I'm supposed to be out of office, but I will work to be there. Okay, so the 26th run of show. The 2nd, we need to submit the language for the recommended action. The 8th, the roundtable is at 3, and then we are going to finalize language after. The 10th is executive committee at 12, and the 15th is board meeting.
Okay,
Which means we need to get sort of maybe before the 26th, I will try to get a recommended action language over to you all for review.
great.
Cool.
Tashrey or Jillian or Marie, is there like a template that I can just type into?
There is, I'll forward it to you.
Awesome, thank you. I think I may have gotten it before and it's been misplaced. Cool. Anything else?
Don't think so.
All right.
So is all of that meeting schedule, is that going to be on the website or we should make sure that Kate's got it all.
Yes, I will take my notes from today and send them out
Okay,
right now to Jillian and then forward them to be forwarded along.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bobby.
Yeah, of course.
You'll have a good day.
You too.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Cool. Thank you, guys.